Good evening, NAACP family, to the members of the New York State Conference, our branch leaders, our youth and college division, our partners, and all of those who are joining us across New York State and beyond. Want to welcome you and thank you for being here with us this evening because tonight is a very special gathering. We have come together not for a meeting, not for business, but to pause, to reflect, to remember, and to celebrate. We just marked a couple of weeks ago the 1 year anniversary. It's been 1 year since the loss of Miss Dukes. And I know that so many of us made posts and comments being a year since her passing, a year since her homegoing celebration, and that it was. But for me and mine, I love celebrating that people lived. And so I thought instead of marking the day that she left us, let us come together, pause, and reflect that she lived on her birthday. Now, I imagine that she is having a party and she has all of her favorites there. And of course, she is resting in the loving arms of our God. And that's what I imagine. And so I thought, why not us come together? Again, not for business, but to pause, to remember, and to celebrate and to honor the life and legacy of our beloved past state conference president, the fierce, the wonderful Dr. Hazel N. Dukes, because she was more than a leader of this state conference. She was a force within the NAACP, a fierce advocate for civil rights, for women, for education, for justice overall. And beside the titles and the accolades, she was ours. She was a mentor, she was a guide, a standard, and she carried this conference. She built this conference and this movement with a clarity of purpose and strength that demanded something from all of us, not just to be present, but to be accountable to the work and to the people that we work for. And tonight, on what would be her birthday, we're gathering together as a family to celebrate a life so well lived and a legacy that is still very much alive. Now, I am encouraged and look forward to seeing all of your comments. Please continue to keep them up. We're going to highlight them throughout the evening. But if Dr. Dukes taught us anything, it is that this work does not end with one person. It lives in each of us and how we lead, how we show up, and how we fight for our communities. So tonight we'll hear just a few reflections and we'll see some of the photos that you all have collected and keep close to your heart. And we'll see the moments from her life and leadership. And we will celebrate the incredible mark she left on this conference, on this state, and on this nation. But before we go any further, I want to take a moment to center ourselves. And I'm going to say, I need this right now. Because one, I'm beating back emotion for myself. I've also been sitting with all of your reflections and your pictures. And then the perfectionist in me is like, I still got to put these pictures in the slideshow before the end of the stream. But so I'm going to take a moment to ground ourselves in gratitude and purpose and in the spirit of the work we've been called to do. So wherever you are, I invite you to join me in this brief moment of prayer. Lord God, thank you so much. Thank you so much for us being able to gather this evening to celebrate the incredible angel, the incredible fierce fighting angel that you sent to us in the person of Dr. Hazel N. Dukes. Tonight, as we gather to celebrate and to remember, let the tears flow if they must. Let our hearts beat. Let us remember the life, but also the person and the relationship that we each individually had with Dr. Dukes. Now, God, we know you are celebrating that your child, the one that you sent, has been returned home to you. And you have said, well done, my good and faithful servant. But Lord God, we miss her so. We miss her presence, we miss her guiding hand, but we know it all comes from you. And so, God, that we ask you this evening that as you sit with us, that you renew our spirit. And again, let the tears fall if they must, but also remind us that it all comes from you and give us the strength that we need to continue this fight. In my God's name, in your God's name, in the loving God that we all serve's name, we pray. Amen. Woo. Now, I don't want to recount the story of the life that Dr. Dukes led. I thought it would be appropriate that we hear from her in her own words to tell us about the life that she led.
And there's no I was born in Montgomery, Alabama. Parents came to New York for work, and I came with them. It's like 62 years. So people say you're a New Yorker, and I said, oh no, I'm not. I'm an Alabamian by birth. My dad was a Pullman porter. I know A. Philip Randolph. I had a chance to meet him as a child. I know E.D. Nixon. I knew Miss Parks. She was a family member. I was surrounded by my dad, really, who understood about the challenges of African American people. And so I heard it, and somehow it fell in my ears. And then my freshman year at Alabama State Teachers College, older gentleman came from the NAACP, and he said something that today I repeat everywhere I go. He said, you know, when people tell you don't get involved in politics, they're making a big mistake. He said, you're born in politics. You're born, you get a birth certificate. And when you die, you get a death certificate. And someone is appointed or elected to provide both of those things for you. I was involved with Reverend Daughtry, with Arthur Miller case, Randolph Evans case, Sean Bell case. I've sit in the Lincoln Tunnel to keep traffic from going in and out of New York. I've been jailed twice for civil disobedience. I walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge with the late John Lewis and the Civil Rights Group. So I've been there. I've been involved 44 years with the NAACP. I was the first African American to work in Nassau County, in the county attorney's office. And from there, I worked for the state. I did transportation for the bus routes from the minority African American communities. I had become what they call in Nassau County community leaders. And so I became involved in the Democratic Party. And at that time, they began what was called the Council of Black Elected Democrats. Basil Patterson lived in Hempstead. Bert Mitchell, who became a black entrepreneur, he lived in Nassau County. They ran for office in Nassau County during that time, and I was very involved in their campaigns. And from then, I came into New York City and had the great honor and privilege to work for Howard Samuels, who was New York City Off-Track Betting Corporation. And when the late Mayor Dinkins became the mayor of the city of New York, I am known as the first African American woman in the United States to become head of a gambling institution, as they would call it. But it was more than just a gambling. It was a lot of entities that went with that, training of people. Many people went on to great professionals while I was president of New York City Off-Track Betting. And so Percy, David, Congressman Rangel, we became friends. Mayor Dinkins said, Dukes of Nassau. And then at other times I would be his little sister. So they would call me their sister. And now it still saddens me to think that they're not here with us. But I can tell you their legacy, their warmth, and what they gave to us as individuals. And better for the still what we confront today, racism, systemic racism in this country. But because of them, we're better for it to live and to participate and hope that we can contribute to a better society. It's no long, it's no walk to freedom. In this journey towards the light, you'll find freedom only. It's no long, it's no walk to freedom. Every day and every night, if you walk with it inside, it's no long walk to freedom.
Wow. That is just a snapshot of the life that Dr. Dukes led. That's just the buildup of who she was. And we're going to continue to talk about her brilliant leadership and the legacy that she left that we will continue to drive home. I'm going to bring now our executive director, Chris Alexander, who I know has also been talking about Miss Dukes in a number of different ways. We'll bring Chris on and just talk about the work and the lessons that she told us that she wanted to see as we are leading the state conference now. But this is all groundwork that she laid. I always describe to people that she became president of the state conference the year before I was born. And so with me being 47, like that is a very, very long time and a long path to this work, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the legacy that she's left is incredible, but what surprised me so much is that she kind of dips into these historical moments that she's lived as if it's like regular conversation. And I remember, and I know I'm jumping straight into it, but this past election, presidential election in 24, and I was trying to get us some footage of her before she went to vote. And it was obviously a very important election. And we had this whole plan organized, and we're gonna get some content of her walking into the polling place in Harlem, and she was so eager to vote. She told me what time to get there. She got there and went and voted a half an hour earlier before I got there. And I'm usually late. I'm late all the time, but this time I was on time because I was going with Dr. Dukes to vote, and such a special memory for me because afterwards she sat and talked about casting the vote, the second nominating vote for Shirley Chisholm.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me that story, and she just said it like it was like, yeah, so I went down to the thing, and I was the one that did the vote, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just we were fortunate to spend so much time with the living legend, and you obviously definitely had to spend a lot more than me, but these it's been an honor, and it was an honor to know and to work with Dr. Duke. So that reflection was just incredible to watch.
Yeah. I mean, certainly there are people within the state conference who have had the benefit of being with Miss Dukes and working alongside her, learning from her even longer than me, and even longer than those of us who are within the association now. I mean, and then it's just associate like across the association, but then also in the community. That's the other thing. I often talk about the number of people who are organizers and they consider themselves national organizers or working on things nationally, but they're not connected to what's happening local in their community. And we're going to see throughout this evening, nope, she was like going to cast votes for, the National Democrats and then would be at her community board meeting.
Yep.
Being like on the block at the like block association meeting and all, the building meeting, just all of those things is like that you can organize and have this big national presence, but then also understand that I also have to be connected statewide. I also have to be connected to what's happening in my building, on my block, in my community, and have to move in that way. And that to me is a true testament, right, to that type of leader who is dedicating their lives on every level, and not giving up any power, not ceding power anywhere, not nationally, not locally. Like I'm going to use and I'm going to be involved, and my voice is going to be impactful on all different levels.
Yeah, I mean, the way I sum it up is that she understood that the impact had to be consistent.
Mhm.
And it wasn't always, again, on the national stage. It wasn't even on the statewide stage where we spend a lot of time in Albany. It was local. And I have several stories that I know is probably not the time to tell, but just of her, engaging in a way that showed that it didn't really matter how big or how small the issue. She understood that she can make impact if she showed up,
Yeah.
if she said a word, if she made a call. And I do still and publicly will always credit her for so much of my career, not just this current chapter, but of the chapters ahead, and the support that she's provided to me personally, and I know to so many other young leaders, and older leaders now, right? The folk that she have mentored have gone on to become some incredible leaders in our state and our nation. So the impact is always felt.
Yeah. Well, we got other people to get in on this, because I don't want to tarry the hour, as they say. So you get off my stage.
All right.
We're going to bring some of those who we talked about, who have organized and worked with Miss Dukes a very long time. And so when we put the call out and asked for folks to give their reflections, I just knew that Miss Claudia Swanson was not going to let this moment pass without her giving her true reflections of working and loving and being friends with Miss Dukes. And both her and our education chair, Miss Christine Waters, have shared so much over the past year about working with Miss Dukes. And I wanted to make sure that we hear from our elders who are still amongst us. And let me tell you, if you have elders in your family and you don't make excuses to bring something by so you can hear another nugget, another story, please do so, because we want to make sure that we are carrying those stories and their legacy. So let's hear from Miss Claudia on her reflections.
Good evening. This is an honor, and indeed, I'm humbled to be able to participate in this opportunity to honor our past president, Hazel N. Dukes. And it's this celebration on her birthday, March 17th. It's not only a celebration, but it's a memory to take us into the momentum of what lies before us. Dr. Hazel N. Dukes was not only our state president and a national board member, she was the heartbeat of our movement. Mama Dukes was strong, intelligent, with purpose, power, and presence. The wind may roar, but it cannot uproot what God has anchored. She was the embodiment of a masterclass in wisdom and unwavering faith, and an elegant powerhouse voice echoing the art of influence and leading with purpose. After stepping away for a time and during my hiatus from leadership, she never stopped checking for me. Where is she? Where is that girl? After constant nudging from my dear friend Christine Waters, who was her tracker, finally I appeared at the last session of a quarterly meeting, kissed her, And Christine cried because we all knew I was returning to the work she believed I was meant to do. And that was 3 years ago. Shortly after, she appointed me to a state position as civic engagement chair. Today, as we build and relaunch WIN is Women in NAACP, I dedicate this work to Mama Duke's courage, vision, and her belief in women's leadership, to her powerful insistence that we show up fully, boldly, and unapologetically. Her motto, we must do the work. It's our responsibility, and this date, March 17th, is the gravity of this moment as the blueprint for unified, collective empowerment of women. We have always been on the front line, not just for our rights, but for the soul of the nation in continuing battles. Mighty be our power, with hundreds and thousands of new memberships. Excuses be gone. Her legacy is not behind us. It is in front of us. And we will carry it forward with the same courage, clarity, and conviction she modeled for nearly a century. Greatness never dies. It stays as a gift. No death, only sacred transition. May the angels sing and escort her in the rest as she continues to watch over us from the vastness of glory on her birthday celebration, moving forward with the strength you poured into us. Resilience.
I love Miss Claudia, and I am so thankful that so many of you who labored alongside Miss Dukes are still with us to provide wisdom, to provide encouragement as we continue uh, working towards justice in this country. Just before we transition, we have some folks that sent in some commentary, some tributes, and I see all of the tributes that you all are giving in the chat. Peak Skill is in here strong, y'all. Um, so, but there are so many, and we'll, display them on the screen going forward. Ms. Dukes was always kind and open to stopping at the many conferences for SEU Local 371 delegation from the New York branch. We have some folks who sent in tributes. Desiree Woodson, the vice president of NAACP North Shore branch. Dr. Hazel N. Dukes represents the very heart of leadership, courage, and unwavering commitment to justice. Her voice, her strength, and her dedication to uplifting our communities have inspired generations of advocates across New York and beyond. As a founding member of the North Shore NAACP Branch 2151, Dr. Dukes helped lay the foundation for a branch that, under her guidance and leadership, remained active and impactful throughout Long Island for many years. Her commitment to justice, equality, and community empowerment helped shape the work we continue today. As a community advocate and member of the NAACP, I am deeply grateful for the path she paved for so many of us. Today, we salute her legacy and celebrate the extraordinary impact she has had on our movement and our communities with gratitude and respect. Oh my goodness. Y'all, I am just deeply grateful that we've had the opportunity to live amongst such greatness. Now, one thing you should know, and we all know about Dr. Dukes, is that she loved young people. And she, as long as you were like probably 15 years younger than her, she called you a young people because she kept calling me a young person up until I think the last conversation we had. But she was completely dedicated to public education and to our young people. And I want to bring the president of our Youth and College division, Miles Hollingsworth, to the front to talk about that, to talk about her commitment to the youthdom, and that she continued to invest in. She bought memberships for young people. That was your first life membership. All of my kids have life memberships because of Miss Dukes. And she was deeply committed to education, and also deeply committed to young people. Miles.
Thank you, President Williams, and thank you, all of you guys, members, guests, peers, and those in between who have joined this live stream to honor the late Dr. Hazel Dukes. As President Williams shared, I'm Miles Hollingsworth, but one of the most important titles to me and revered titles is a son of the late Dr. Hazel Dukes. I had the privilege of meeting Dr. Dukes very early on in my youthhood. I guess you would say I'm only 21, but that privilege has been the greatest gift of my life. I come from two big business owner parents who spent a lot of time raising those businesses, and a personal memory that I always reflect on is not about how Dr. Dukes prepped me for a speech, or how she donated money to the Youth and College Vision, or how she did any of the many brilliant things that she did, from being the 108th Spin Garden awardee to being everything in between for all of us. But it was about her paying for my books my first semester at Howard University. When I made the announcement that I was going to choose a historically Black collegiate education, it wasn't just joy, it was resolve, it was settlement in her, that she knew that I was choosing a path where I could not only lead in her name, but also uphold a legacy of Black excellence, where not only I knew I was supported, but I was loved. Dr. Hazel Dukes was a champion for the Youth and College Division. She set up leaders not only like me, but all presidents past and leaders past. And what she, even in her last moments, chose to do, which is most important and is why I'm here today, is set up youth leaders for the future. As shared before, her legacy does not die at her physical being leaving this plane. It dies when we stop doing the work, and that's something we'll never stop doing. So when we continue the work, we like to think of her and we like to reflect, but more than ever, we need to put her words into action. Dr. Hazel Dukes gifted us with a dinner in her name, the only dinner she blessed in her name, the only award she blessed in her name, called the Hazel Dukes Distinguished Leadership Award. Now known as the 6th Dr. Hazel N. Dukes Legacy Awards, this year we celebrate the 11th year of this dinner being in existence, and me being here on this call is a personal invitation to all of you to do exactly what Dr. Dukes did, enthusiastically support the Youth and College Division. In her passing, in lieu of flowers, she asked for donations to the State Youth and College Division, not a national entity, not even flowers to some other third source, but to this Youth and College Division, the one in New York State, as that helps our capacity building, our advocacy, and our growth. Next week, on March 28th, from 6 to 11 p.m. in Tribeca, New York, we are hosting another dinner in her honor to continue her work, and to continue the mission she instilled in all young people like me. I invite all of you guys to not only buy tickets, but support the Youth and College Vision and do exactly what she did, which was enthusiastically stand up for us. The ticket link is available on the screen, and it's available on the QR code as well. If you don't have it, my Instagram, my email, and everything in between is available for you guys to reach out and buy tickets, support us, and support us today. We want you to be at this dinner to not only support the state, but also to continue the young people's lives, the young people's advocacy, and the young people's future, just like Hazel Dukes did, and do so enthusiastically. In closing, Dr. Dukes always shared a funny Bible verse with me, and we would joke about its interpretation all the time. But it is Acts 20:35. In all things, the Lord Jesus himself said, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." In this moment where all these things are going on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and beyond, right now we're in a season where we need to give more than to receive. And that I ask of you humbly today on this call in the name of Dr. Hazel Dukes, because that's exactly what she did for us. She gave more than she received. Thank you, and God bless Dr. Dukes.
And so these women, it's in our DNA to be brave, to protect the families, our children, and indeed our communities. And so when you look at the history of NAACP, while there have only been 3 women that held the title of president before Kwesi Mfume became the president and CEO, I'm the only living one of the 4 women.
And Dr. Dukes, when we go all the way back to the founding of the NAACP in 1909, exactly 20 years before...
It was at the woman's home.
Go ahead.
It was the woman.
You knew where I was going with that.
It was Mary Overton who was listening to the radio of the lynching, and she called the men together. And she said, what are we going to do about this? It's outrageous that I'm hearing on the radio night and day men being lynched, African-American men of color, men of Negro being lynched. So it was the woman who called the men together, and they got all of the highlights. But as you know your history, and women especially, and the young women in here, when you feel that you don't have any place to go, you do the calling and invite them in. But we cannot forget the women,
of course,
who was the backbone. There were Daisy Bates, the Little Rock Nine. She and her husband was put out of business. They owned a newspaper at that time. She gathered the parents for their children to receive quality education. Fannie Lou Hamer. These are the women that put their life on the line. They're the one, they didn't only prepare the food for the men, but they gave them directions.
We also have a reflection this evening from our Vice Chair, Karen Boykin Towns, and Chairwoman Emeritus, Rosalind Brock, who, as you know, they had a very personal relationship with Miss Dukes and were tasked with carrying out, among a select few, her final arrangements. They wanted to send a few words as we celebrate this evening. Today, we celebrate the heavenly birthday of our beloved Dr. Hazel N. Dukes. This is the first birthday since she transitioned from labor to reward, yet her presence and her purpose continue to guide us. Dr. Dukes was a fearless freedom fighter, a matriarch of the modern civil rights movement, and a woman whose faith anchored her fight for justice. To the world, she was a towering leader, but to us, she was also a loving godmother, mentor, and prayer warrior who taught us that courage and faith must walk together. And like so many great matriarchs, she nurtured us not only with wisdom and strength, but also with love in the everyday moments. We still smile, remembering how she patiently taught us how to make her famous deviled eggs, lessons in the kitchen that carried the same warmth and care she brought to everything she did. Today, heaven celebrates her birthday, but here on earth, we celebrate her legacy, her courage, her conviction, and the doors she opened for generations. Happy heavenly birthday, my Dukes. Your light still guides us. Your legacy still calls us forward. With love and gratitude always, Karen and Rosalind. Oh boy. I know that it is incredibly difficult, particularly for those who have such personal relationships. And there is also so many of our NAACP leaders who are civil rights leaders in general who are passing away. We are in that generation where, you know, they are going on to be with our maker, our God who created us and sent us here with this mission. And in this time, while we may be sorrowful to be disconnected from their physical presence, I'm always renewed that although they are not here for us to physically touch, their lessons are still here, their spirit is still here, and every single thing that they taught us still remains. Now, I talked about how Miss Dukes was able to do so much work nationally, here in the state, but also that she was very active and involved, whether she was on Long Island and being active and involved, hence why she has a street named after her in Long Island. Shout out to our Long Island branches. But also in her beloved Harlem, where she resided for many years, and she was actively involved in the local community there as well. So this time could not go by without that local community representation and the community board for which she served on for a long time also wanted to send a tribute.
On behalf of Manhattan Community Board 10, it is both an honor and deeply emotional moment to recognize the first heavenly birthday of Dr. Hazel N. Dukes. For more than 2 decades, Dr. Dukes served the Harlem community right here on Community Board 10 with unwavering commitment, strength, and purpose. As chairperson of our Health and Human Services Committee, she was a fierce and unapologetic advocate, ensuring that issues of healthcare access, equity, and human dignity remained at the forefront of our work. She understood that strong communities are built when we care for the whole person, and she never wavered on this mission. Dr. Dukes also brought with her a legacy of civil rights leadership that extended far beyond this board. Yet, despite her national stature, she remained deeply rooted in Harlem, showing up, speaking up, and standing up for our community time and time again. That was her greatness, her ability to lead on every level while she never lost sight of home. But beyond her titles and accomplishments, Dr. Dukes was a force, a leader who carried Harlem on her shoulders and demanded excellence from all of us privileged to serve alongside her. And for me personally, she was more than a colleague. She was a mentor, a guiding light, and someone who truly poured into me. I stand here today as chairperson of Manhattan Community Board 10 because she pushed me, believed in me, and reminded me of the responsibility we carry to lead with courage and conviction. I stand on her shoulders. As we reflect on her life and legacy, we recommit ourselves to ensuring that her name and her work and her spirit will forever live on in Harlem, in our advocacy, in our leadership, and in our love for this community. Happy heavenly birthday, Dr. Dukes. May you rest in power. And to my community, to Harlem, I say, long live Dr. Hazel Nell Dukes.
Wonderful, wonderful tribute. Um, Thank you so much to all of you who were able to come this evening. I want to share some of Umberto. Let's share some of the comments on stage of the folks who are here this evening, sharing their reflections of Miss Dukes and all that she contributed, not only to the state conference, to the community. I'm so grateful for all of you for coming in this evening, for sharing. And I wanted to, share with all of us who are gathered this evening. Let's see. Yes, to the Long Island branches. There were some of our branches who sent in reflection as well. Just before we go to more comments, as you all are posting it, I think Peak Skill, you did a whole slideshow of your memory and commemoration of Miss Dukes, and we can't go on without showing that. Y'all get a gold star for this evening. Let's show some of the comments that are in the chat for this evening. Shout out to you all, Peak Skill. We could just do a couple of individual ones. Let's see. Hempstead Branch is in the building. I see you. D.B. Johnson, Dr. Duke's blessings and love for the legacy and leadership, lessons remembered and passed on. Farine, I see that's you. The New York branch is here to honor and celebrate Dr. Dukes on her birthday. Let's see, who else, Umberto? Shout out to our media and tech folks. Umberto is in the background helping to make sure that this evening's remembrance is going off without a hitch. Hello from Buffalo, Ellen Harris Harvey. Thank you so much. Let's see, such a rich life. Yes, definitely a rich life that Miss Dukes shared with us. We learned so much from her, from the Jamaica branch. Let's see, who else? And we're showing your comments on the screen. Gold star also I'm going to give to myself for developing a slideshow while also leading this, because I wanted to make sure that we got all of your comments and everything in this evening. Christine is with us this evening. Thank you so much for being here and sharing. It's so wonderful, this evening. Miss Blanding, thank you so much. Gone forever, but will always be remembered. Miss Claire, our state secretary, also sharing. Miles said earlier that we can't believe it's a year, and I still can't believe it's a year either. That it's just gone by so fast. Everything's gone by so quickly. Let's see, Miss Sheila Cox. Hi, Miss Sheila. And it is important that we continue to mark this moment and mark that she lived and call her name and make sure that she is not forgotten in the work that she has done, that we are telling future generations about her work. Is very, very important. Our second vice president, Gary Johnson, we shall always remember her. Yes, indeed. I want to thank all of you for taking time this evening, for joining us. I did appreciate all of you who sent in photos and sent in reflections. This year, we are celebrating 90 years of the state conference. And so much of that is because of Miss Dukes, and we will continue to speak her name. We will be continuing to honor the work that she has done to not only build up the state conference, but all that she has done throughout the state and through her role at the NAACP. There will be continued reflections, particularly as we go into our 90th celebration this coming fall. So stay tuned for that. And I'm sure that so many of you, as you are beginning to archive and do your work, that you are also incorporating remembrance, not only of Ms. Dukes, but also all of our leaders within our individual branches. We cannot let the stories of those stalwarts, the first presidents, the organizers, the youth workers, the members, the college organizers, we are responsible to be the keeper of our own history and to also share that history with current and future generations. Though some of you may have heard, I often go to the Library of Congress where the NAACP archives are held. And it was wonderful to go and see the first campaign materials that Ms. Dukes had when she ran for state conference president. She ran the first time, which was the year, the election before, she didn't win, but she ran and won the second time that she ran. But to see those documents, to see in her first 10 years leading the state conference what she was able to accomplish, to see the photos, to see the newsletters and the guides and everything that the state conference has done through the branches. Right? It is you in the branches and the state conference helping to coordinate and provide support who has done such amazing work throughout this state. And while this country may be celebrating 250 years of what they marked as independence, we have to be keepers of our own history. No one else can do that for us. We have to continue to hold up our leaders to tell their stories so no one can be swayed by misinformation and disinformation. We have to do that. And we are going to continue that work. As you know, in continuing with Ms. Duke's focus on public education and also teaching Black history. As you know, she served on the commission to ensure that it was integrated not only into the public school system, but that we create avenues to teach our own history in our own voice. And we are going to continue that. And just after Easter, we are launching our NAACP Freedom School here in New York City. And our youth councils and college chapters, our youth organizers and branches will be all engaged in that work. As you saw from the organizing plan that we talked about at the first quarterly meeting, we will be going throughout the state conference and doing teach-ins so we can teach our people, not just young people, because some of us grown folks need that lesson too, teaching our history and our local history, right? Because it's not enough that people know civil rights leaders that are brought to a national level. They should know local leaders within their state, within their region, within their local community. And so we will be going along the Underground Railroad corridor. Some of you work collaboratively in those spaces, and we will be bringing people to these areas to teach them in our own voices, our own history, and certainly Ms. Dukes and teaching all that she has done and her commitment to public education. I know she is smiling and looking forward to both our youth councils, college chapters, and everyone being involved in that great work for, again, a commitment to young people, but also telling the history and the story of our people here in the state of New York and also nationwide. So with that, hopefully my, let's see if it worked, Umberto. Let's see. I know the title. Let's see. Oh, Oh my, oh my, oh my. I think all of you who sent in pictures, we tried to get in all of the pictures at the last minute. Thank you so very much. As you know, I like beginning on time and ending on time. So that we know that when I call us to be somewhere, you can know that we are not keeping you long. But we wanted to take this moment to gather again to say thank you to Ms. Dukes. And as she's celebrating, I'm sure she's celebrating for the life that she lived here on earth with us. We will continue to celebrate. We will continue to tell the story of our great matriarch, of this great woman, Dr. Hazel N. Dukes. Have a good night.